Hello YouTube, this is Marco bringing you another video talking about something that I broke kind of, I guess, 24 hours before anybody else did. And those are the new Rolex releases. But I wanted to give you my thoughts, my opinions on the matter, and ultimately let you know what I think is truly going to happen. So let's roll the intro and jump straight into the video. So I got word of these new releases on Wednesday, actually, on January the 12th. As you can see, a day before basically anybody else did it, 24 hours before anybody else released this information. As you can see, I show all the pictures, not just of this, but also of the Everose Submariner, as you can see over here. And of course, that brand new Hulk, if I can find it. 1 minute. Here it is. So all three of these releases, of course, on the Gentleman's Hangout podcast, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, this was something that I broke, I guess, on Wednesday, and that it's important to put into context in the vein in which we were presenting these, which was, kind of laughing at these releases. Because let's be honest, the truth is nobody really knows what Rolex is going to do and what Rolex is going to feature. I also heard from the same source a number of other watches were coming. So the confirmation of one, the Black GMT on Jubilee, was actually a confirmed watch. I also heard that given the fact that it's now the 10-year anniversary of the Skydweller, that an anniversary model Skydweller was coming, namely a yellow gold green dial Skydweller. And last but not least, this source also hinted at the fact that the Daytonas have been, around for about 10 years now, 10 plus years, and that steel bezel Daytonas were actually making a comeback. And these were all rumors, but again, I think it's important to put it into context of Rolex itself. I mean, we just point to last year's releases. They were pretty lackluster. The truth is Rolex doesn't really do many releases in a year, right? It's very, very few years they're actually going to, release new watches in new forms. And if they are, they're certainly not going to do it across many model lines. And if we look at all of these releases, the only one, in my opinion, that's really plausible is that rose gold blue dial day-date. Ultimately, they already have one in white gold. And so it would make sense for Rolex to ultimately release it in rose gold. And I think it's a really beautiful watch. I think it's going to be maybe one of the most, sought after watches. But, what's the point of even really talking about it? None of us regular guys or regular folks are going to be able to get it anyways. But, the Hulk for me is just so beyond the realm of possibility, not just because ultimately it was just recently discontinued, but, Rolex released the Hulk as an anniversary model. So it was to commemorate an anniversary for the Submariner. And at the time that it was released, it was truly unique. They'd never done a green bezel, green dial Submariner. Of course, the Kermit was the one that preceded that, with just a green bezel but a black dial. And so the Hulk was kind of something totally new from Rolex. And as we know, Rolex doesn't really do limited editions, but I guess their kind of quote unquote limited edition are anniversary models. So it would be as if Rolex would re-release basically a limited edition. It just makes no sense at all, especially given the fact that it's in such close proximity with the release, of course, the discontinuation, of course, of the Hulk. And, what would it mean for the Kermit? If they were really to re-release the Hulk, would the Kermit really be necessary? Would they discontinue then the Kermit? I don't see the two coexisting in any way, shape, or form. And again, I understand the idea of the Kermit and the Surmit being released, and they're kind of both similar in vein, but the new Surmit has a new movement, a new bracelet, a new clasp, a new of course, a new case, a new dial, a new bezel. I mean, altogether. So it's really a totally new Kermit, right? And a modern Kermit at that. So it's completely different. Just re-releasing a new Hulk with a new movement and a new case and bracelet, to me, just doesn't make sense at all. Especially again because they just revamped the Submariners. When was it? In 2020. So I just don't see that really happening. And again, with the Everose for the same reason. An Everose blue dial sub, although really nice, and I think it's not beyond the realm of possibility. First and foremost, they've never done an Everose sub, and Rolex is not exactly the brand that takes huge risks like that just goes out on the limb and starts releasing, something that they've never done before. It's just not in Rolex's DNA. And so to act as if it's, fact and that your sources have never let you down is in my opinion, just not true at all. I'm sorry to say. I mean, some of these prediction videos are just a little crazy. I mean, let's just point back to what Rolex did last year. They didn't really change anything. In fact, we were all pretty underwhelmed by what Rolex did last year, and that's kind of the vein in which Rolex does most years, right? They're not ones who make huge revolutionary changes at the end of the day. And to expect them to come out with all of these new models across all of their model lines is just not true. And these are some of the same people, in my opinion, that are presenting these as facts, yet they're also saying that the Oyster Perpetual is going to get discontinued after a year, and that the John Mayer Daytona and Platinum Daytona were supposed to be released last year. So listen, I'm going to be honest. When it comes to Rolex and new releases, I just don't see them doing what a lot of people are speculating that they're going to be doing. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to, ultimately go down that rabbit hole and see potentially what might happen and see if we were right in retrospect. But to present these as facts, as these are definitely going to happen, is really short-sighted in my opinion. It's not the truth. It's not fair to present it as fact to the viewers. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you my thoughts on that. Ultimately, I think it's fun to speculate, but I don't actually see a lot of these models really being released. And even if they were, again, what's really the point of talking about them? It's not like us regular guys are really going to be able to buy them anyway. So those are kind of my thoughts and opinions. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys like the fact that I actually broke this story. I mean, this is a story that's my story 24 hours before anybody else did it, over on the Gentleman's Hangout podcast, guys. We do Wednesday Watch Talk. That's where it was. So guys, be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Marco. Thanks so much for joining me for another video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Guys, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much.